Okay, so first of all, you made me laugh out loud with your Q&A responses with last week's episode. Inside Spotify, they allow me to ask silly questions or whatever I would like to ask. And last week's question was, would you rather have a magic talking unicorn as your personal life coach who gives you daily pep talks, or have a group of enthusiastic penguins follow you around everywhere you go, cheering you on and giving you high fives whenever you need a pick-me-up? Who doesn't need that? Of the hundreds that submitted, you were all split just about right down the middle, with, I will say, the unicorns pulling ahead of the penguins ever so slightly. Too fun. Thank you. If you're not familiar, if you will look at Spotify with each episode, there is a Q&A and you can enter in your vote. I cannot wait to see what this week's response will be. Also, London, Amsterdam, Eindhoven, Berlin, and Cologne. I'm going to be seeing you in the next week or 2 weeks, depending on where you live. Please check out cometdownpodcast.com or chadlawson.com as I am touring the UK and Europe. I would love to see you. Please come see me. Some of the shows are getting very light on tickets, just so you know. And then finally, I'm almost done, I promise. It's the beginning of a new month, and you know what that means. It's my time to ask, for help. As you may already know, this is an independent podcast. It's truly a one-man show. I write, I record, I produce, I deliver. It's truly just me by myself right now. But with your help, we can keep this podcast going strong. So I would be incredibly grateful if you could spare $2 or $3 each month to help me cover the expense. And then eventually, when the budget allows, maybe even bring on some additional help. That would be so amazing. Your support means the world, and you can help by heading over to cometdownpodcast.com, clicking on the white coffee cup that says support me. It honestly takes less than 60 seconds, but guys, it would help so much. cometdownpodcast.com. If you are already contributing, my heart says thank you. Now, on with the show. So after writing these episodes, I've decided this is the first episode of a 2-part series, and maybe even more. And I'm really excited to share this with you. So this conversation is something that's really important to me, and I know it's something that many of you can relate to. Feeling lost or unsure about where you want to be in life. It's a common experience, and it can leave us feeling empty, aimless. And that's something that I hear a lot from you. And so this is why I wanted to take the time to really dive into this topic and explore it in depth over the next few episodes. So whether you're feeling stuck in a rut or just looking to gain some clarity and direction in your life, I hope you'll find some value in what I'm about to share. Oddly enough, as I write this, I'm en route back home from a weekend road trip, and it seems only fitting that today you and I are going to embark on a road trip of our own. Of course, this journey will be purely imaginary, but it will yield meaningful outcomes nonetheless. So today, we're going to take a road trip. Let's hit the open road. I want you to imagine that you are in need of some new scenery. And for some of you, you may not have to imagine this. Here, close your eyes with me. Unless you're driving, of course. But we'll imagine this together, right? The four walls are closing in and you're ready for something different. A change of scenery is just what you need. So you pack your bags, hop in your car, and hit the road. Come on, let's have some fun. Wind is in your hair. You can totally see it right now. And you've got the windows down, and you've got your music blasting. The road is yours. There's nowhere to go, right? Like where you're going, you're not going to be late, as it's totally up to you when you arrive. Now, at first, this seems like a great idea, right? Seems like a lot of fun. You're exploring new places and you're enjoying the thrill of this open road. But as an hour goes by, and the second hour, and the third, and you've stopped at more antique places than you can imagine, and you've already had 4 cups of coffee, each from a different place, and yes, you've even stopped at a number of bakeries to where you can't imagine eating another cookie. And as night falls, you eventually begin to feel a bit lost. You're not really sure where you're going. You're not really sure if you're really even making progress towards anything. You're just kind of driving. Yes, you have a map in front of you, but there's no real final destination marked on the map. You haven't entered in a final address on your phone's GPS, and to be honest, you really have no idea where you want to go at this point. You're just kind of driving around aimlessly, hoping to stumble upon something, I don't know, worthwhile. It's probably not the most efficient way, or even satisfying way to travel, is it? Well, the same can actually be said for life. When we don't have a direction, let alone a destination, we can end up feeling lost. We can end up feeling aimless, all dressed up, but nowhere to go, right? Maps are more than just getting us from point A to point B. They're a guide for this journey, helping us navigate through the twists and turns of life. But even the greatest map, the most detailed GPS system, it's useless without an address. It can't help you unless you tell it where you want to go. I know this may sound kind of silly, but what is your emotional GPS? Have you ever pulled off the road to even ask yourself? You know, it's hard because it's important to have a clear destination in mind, right? So we can set goals and we can make plans and we can enjoy this journey along the way. So let me ask a question. Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to experience? What goals have you set for yourself? You see, when we have a clear direction, a laid out roadmap, right, we can navigate through life's challenges and we can enjoy the ride, right? We have kind of a compass, knowing that we're making progress towards something meaningful. Otherwise, we just run the risk of driving in circles until our tank runs empty. And for some of you, you may already be there, empty. But guess what? Don't worry. It's never too late to create a new map, right? It's never too late to set a new destination or even embark on a new journey. Today, we are hitting the open road and you're coming with me. The emotional highway, not a cloud in the sky. Are you ready? Let's go. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. When was the last time you paused to consider where you want to be emotionally? It's something we actually don't often think about, and yet it's really important, right? It's a big question. But a step further than that, how do we even open this box in the first place? What if I don't know where I want to be emotionally, you may ask? And I completely understand, as I've been asking this myself, which is why I decided to make this episode, as it's been something I've been working through personally. Chad, you ask, where do I even start? Well, first, let's start with, are you ready? Your values. Think about what's most important to you in life. Your values, they serve as a guide for setting goals and making decisions, right? Emotions are an essential part of our human experience, and yet we often neglect to consider where we want to be emotionally in our life. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and to forget to check in with ourselves on this deep emotional level. So one way to start thinking about where you want to be emotionally is to consider your values. What's most important to you in life? Is it family? Is it friends? Is it personal growth? Is it career success or something else? I mean, your values can serve as a guide for setting these emotional goals, because that's what they are, and then making decisions that align with what's truly important to you. I'm going to say that again. Don't miss that. Your values serve as a guide for setting emotional goals and then making decisions that align with those goals and with what's truly important to you. For example, if personal growth is one of your core values, you might set a goal to prioritize, this word I know is overused, but self-care, right? You might set a goal to prioritize working on managing stress in your life. That's powerful. Or if, on the other hand, relationships are important to you, you might set a goal to improve your communication skills, right? And spend more quality time with loved ones, being able to connect, being able to learn and to ebb and flow in conversation. And if you're feeling stuck and not sure where to start, maybe try journaling or talking with a trusted friend or therapist even. But think back to the moments in your life when you felt truly happy, when you felt truly fulfilled. What values were important to you during those times? Was it spending time with loved ones? Was it pursuing a passion? Or was it making a difference in someone else's life? What values were important to you during those times? You see, these memories, they can provide incredible insight into what's really important to you on an emotional level. Now, I'm not going to lie, this might be a little difficult to go down memory lane because a lot of times when we drive down memory highway, we don't turn off, right? We don't take the exit. We just keep going down memory lane. But the purpose is going down these memories is to get insight, right? It's to get insight into what was important to you at that time, and then to come back into the present and say, okay, I learned that back then, this was what was valuable to me. How do I incorporate that now, right? So again, these memories, they can provide incredible insight into what's truly important to you on an emotional level. And you can also look to others who inspire you and who possess emotional qualities that you admire. Maybe it's someone who's kind or empathetic or resilient even. Take note of those qualities and consider how you can incorporate them into your own life, right? Just by watching someone else that you really admire. So by learning from others and reflecting on your own experiences, you can work towards becoming the best version of yourself emotionally. But I want you to remember that emotional goals and growth, they're an ongoing process. And it's okay if you're not sure where you want to be right now. It is. But taking small steps and staying connected to your values, you can begin to create a roadmap for this emotional journey. Now, the second destination is to define your long-term vision. Well, what do you mean? Well, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10? Where do you want to be in 20 years? I have to be honest, this is the one that I have the most difficult time with. And so you're not alone. And hopefully I'm not alone either with this one. But long term, what kind of person do you want to be? Oof, heavy, right? What kind of life do you want to have? I mean, it's almost overwhelming. Well, let's break this down. It can be a little overwhelming, right? Thinking about the future. But it's important to have a sense of what you want your life to look like, especially in the long term. So even drawing out or even a rough sketch of your long-term vision, it's like creating a roadmap, right? It's a way to reflect on your hopes and dreams for the future and to set goals that will take you closer to your vision, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. But having a clear sense of what you want to achieve, this can completely help you make better decisions and stay focused on what really matters to you. But it's just a matter of sitting down and putting this together, right? So when you're thinking about your long-term vision, I want you to consider a few questions. I highly recommend you, as always, take some notes. Maybe write this down. Are you ready? So I've already asked, where do you want to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20? But what kind of life do you want to have? What are your career aspirations? What are your personal aspirations? What kind of impact do you want to make on others? Let's take that a little further. What kind of impact do you want to make in the world? I mean, have you ever really thought about where you want to be in the future? Like really thought about it? And it's not always easy to picture, but it's really important to have a sense of what you want in your life. Because otherwise, again, it would be like driving around aimless. And these questions might seem big and overwhelming, and they are, but they're actually really helpful in figuring out what you want to achieve in life, where you want to go. And once you begin to have a sense of your long-term vision, you can start breaking it down into smaller, more manageable steps, more manageable goals even. Breaking this down and working backwards, this is where you can really get specific about what you want to achieve and how you're going to get there. Let's say, for example, your long-term vision is to become a doctor, right? You love to help people. Your goals might include, obviously, getting good grades in high school, and then getting into a good college, and then maybe volunteering at a local clinic or a nursing home while studying to get into medical school, and then eventually completing your residency. Sounds so simple, right? No, it does not. But nowhere near overwhelming once you write down the steps and put them into blocks, right? So you've gone from, I'm just going to be a doctor. Oh, okay. Well, how? I don't know. And now you've said, I want to be a doctor. Here are the steps I'm going to take. And now I'm going to break them down. And this is how I'm going to proceed. Even just writing down the first draft is a great place to start. But with all this being said, I also want you to remember, it's so important to remember that your long-term vision, your long-term goals, they're not set in stone. And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to adjust your goals as you go. Life is full of surprises. And sometimes our priorities and our aspirations, they shift along the way. You see an exit sign here, you see a coffee shop over there. Don't be afraid to pivot and course correct when you need to. And whether you're 17 or 73, it's never too late to ask yourself, where do I want to be? So after this episode is done, I would love it if you just took the day or the evening to yourself. No distractions, no external pressures. Turn off your phone, sit with your thoughts, and allow yourself to dream, like really dream big. Think about what truly matters to you, what you're passionate about, and what you want to achieve in life. And don't forget that this journey, enjoy it along the way. Sometimes we get a little too serious about life, right? Life is just not about achieving your goals. It's also about experiencing new things, building meaningful relationships with new people, and finding joy right now in this very moment. So, as you set your sights on the future, remember, appreciate the small things, right? Savor every step of the way. Define your long-term vision, right? Write it out, as this will help keep you on the highway to success and to fulfillment and hopefully to life. Your long-term vision can serve as a compass, guiding you towards the life that you want to lead and the person that you want to become. So as we wrap up part 1 of this 2 or 3-part series, I encourage you to take some time to think about where you want to be emotionally and in the long term. It's a hard question, so take the week to really chew through this. It's not always easy to envision our future selves, but when we reflect on our values and we begin setting emotional goals and defining our long-term vision, well, we start to create a roadmap not only where we want to be physically, but also emotionally. And remember, this is just the beginning of your journey, and it's okay if you're not sure where you want to go yet. So take small steps, stay connected to your values, enjoy the ride along the way. And in part 2 of this series, we're going to explore some practical strategies for setting and achieving these emotional and long-term goals. For more episodes, concert dates, or to send me some delicious chocolate chip cookies, visit cometdownpodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson, composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. Now, before we part ways, I want to remind you that the views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended to serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnoses rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Please seek the advice of a licensed physician or therapist for any medical or emotional concerns. I'm not a licensed therapist or physician, but I am an empath by nature, and I hope this and future podcast episodes can aid your emotional needs. To find a list of licensed professionals in your area, visit cometdownpodcast.com. And if you enjoy this podcast and want to support the time, the person involved, and content you hear each week, please consider pitching in $2 or $3 a month. Your contribution will help keep this podcast ad-free. Visit cometdownpodcast.com, look for the white coffee cup with the heart in the center, or scan the QR code at the bottom of the page. Again, cometdownpodcast.com. Remember, be kind to your mind. And join me next week as we calm it down.